At just age 19, Tristan Calvino turned heartbreak into purpose. After losing his stepdad at 16, he decided to take a leap, leaving behind his structured life in London to travel the world, volunteer, and document every step of his transformation. Today, Tristan inspires thousands to stop existing and start living through his content and storytelling. He saved up 75% of his paycheck in high school and has volunteered around the world. Tristan's story is a reminder that success does not have to follow the traditional path. And in this episode, he shares how following curiosity and saying yes to unknown things has completely changed his life. While most teenagers are just choosing universities, Tristan was booking a one-way ticket to Bali. And at just age 18, he traded classrooms for connection, textbooks for real-world lessons, and in the process, lived a life that many only dream of. So, welcome, Tristan. We're really happy to have you at Podpackers.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this episode. We've been working with the Worldpackers now. I've been volunteering, I'd say, since I started traveling, which was in September last year. But now kind of working with Worldpackers to spread kind of awareness about volunteering and how you can travel on a budget through Worldpackers, how you can kind of help the local places that you are traveling to, and how you can volunteer.
Yeah. So, Tristan, I know you've been on the road for a while now, and you mentioned that curiosity is one of your core values. So, now that you've kind of been around a little bit, what does staying curious still look like in your daily life, both as a traveler and a content creator?
For sure. Like I think on the traveler side, like it's very much like just booking a flight to a country and just turning up and just being like, what is there to see here? Like I'm very, very curious to go to like the life goal at the moment. I'd love to go to every country and really just kind of like document what it's like there, which then leads into the content creator side, which is very much kind of just being very, very open-minded to kind of seeing every experience, just being learning about the culture in these different countries, their history, like how local life is, and kind of really trying to submerge myself in and then kind of travel a little bit slower. Like obviously, like with volunteering, you can essentially you get to kind of almost live in the place for an extended period of time, and doing so allows you to kind of see what local life is like. So it allows you to kind of try the local food, try to get to know kind of the history of the country and how things are, and you get to really kind of experience the country as someone that lives there, opposed to just like a tourist.
Definitely. And I think like what you mentioned, I feel like people who like to travel to new places, maybe uncommon places are also the people who want to do content creation because it's like, kind of put yourself out there and,
For sure.
taking risks. Yeah. Like opening yourself up to the world. Right. So
sure.
I know in talks earlier, you said that you moved from Spain to London. How old were you when that happened?
I would have been like two and a half.
Two.
Like
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
three.
Okay, so that's super young, and it must have shaped
Yeah.
a lot of who you are. I guess like how did growing up with multicultural influences shape how you are today?
It's actually a really good question because I've always kind of felt like a little bit too Spanish to be English and a little bit too English to be Spanish. Like I felt like kind of in both camps, like in London, like I do kind of feel like in London, but I also don't. And then whenever I go to Spain, I also feel like Spaniard, but I also don't in that aspect as well. So I think it's allowed me it's also kind of inspired that curiosity to really kind of go to every place with like an open mind and an open heart to learn about the cultures, because I've always kind of not really had a like set code of my own. It's kind of been a mix of everything. And even London itself is even London itself is a very, very multicultural city. So kind of like you can kind of travel the world without leaving the city. Like if you want to try, Ethiopian food, you want to try food from Malaysia, Thailand, there's something for everybody.
That's a great point.
London's a very multicultural place. So I feel like definitely has allowed me to connect with more people by trying different cuisines and being very, very open-minded to trying new things and learn more about the cultures, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, I kind of relate because I'm Chinese American. So, like, when I was growing up in China, I was like, I feel a little bit too American to be Chinese. But when I'm in the US, I'm like, I feel a little bit too Chinese. But, similar to London, the US is also super diverse. So then I guess something that I've kind of grappled with that is a question for you then is what exactly does home mean to you? Like, do you see home as London, Spain, or both, maybe neither? I mean, now that you're far away from where you grew up, like, how has that changed?
I think London will always have a special place in my heart. Like I when I look back on like home, I think is also like a feeling, like opposed to like a place. Like you can feel at home with friends, the family, by like a certain like feeling watching a sunset. There are many different ways to describe home, but I think like obviously like by the traditional sense of home, like the second I fly back to London, like it's like I'm home. But then I also have that aspect when like I've come to Bali, like for me, it's where kind of everything started for me, and where like I've just spent a month now, and it's kind of where like things have started to really pick up for me as well in terms of content creation. So like I would say like I do get the feeling of home from more than one place, but like I also think like in terms of like home definitely like more ties into like identity, and for me at least like I don't want to really like return to ever like live in London again until like I have like a clear set of like who like Tristan wants to be, and I still think at 19 I'm still kind of figuring that out, like I have a rough idea of, like,
Definitely.
how I want to spend the next 5 years, but like that's the 5 years. Like I don't know like when I'm 24 whether like, we're gonna still move back to London. I don't know.
I mean, I'm only 21, but I can tell you I still have no idea. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess if like, if home is a feeling, it's also identity, and home is in you, then everywhere you go, it's kind of home. So that's kind of nice as well. But yeah, I want to transition to, I guess, how you got started with Worldpackers. So could you just walk us through how did you, how did you discover Worldpackers, and how did that end up changing your path? Like what made you want to go? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I want to travel, but no one really takes that first step.
Yeah, for sure. So like when things kind of got really shit for me, which was like when I was 16, went through a really just tough time of like losing my stepdad to cancer, and I kind of threw myself. I was working a part-time job at a Michelin restaurant in London, so I kind of threw myself to that. I started like skipping school to just go work, and then just like in the times where I was like skipping school, I tried to study when I was at home, and I had a friend Rafi who kind of really got me to consistently go to the gym. And there was just one gym session that I remember where we were just we had just spent like an hour just working out, and we were kind of towards the end, and I was kind of speaking about like how I was feeling. And he was like, yeah, like if you want to kind of travel, like I've just seen kind of like through Instagram like this ad about like how you can volunteer in countries, and means that you get to kind of almost live there with accommodation and sometimes food included. So like if you don't end up saving like kind of that much money through working in this restaurant, and you want to go spend it like now, and you don't want to save it, which is what I was doing. He was like, you can just volunteer, and we looked into it. So I spent like a good maybe 2 hours of my downtime after that of just kind of just like scrolling through different opportunities. It's like, oh wow, like I could be on a sailing boat in Italy, or I could be like a surf camp in Portugal. Like there was just so
It's
many like
so fun. It's like shopping for like vacation. All right, so you were working at the time, right? And so were you trying to save most of that money for something later, or were you more like spontaneous in the moment, spending what you were making at the restaurant?
So like with the paycheck that I was earning, like the majority of it I was earning like through like bonuses at the restaurant, which was like we had a system where you'd get like if you got like a 5-star review with your name in it, you'd get like $150 as a bonus. So I basically just started like with every customer trying to make sure like they had an amazing meal, so that they would leave them a 5-star review.
It's like
And
the tip
basically,
system to the US.
yeah, exactly, pretty much the exact same. So basically, my the way that I looked at it is like my base salary of like working hours is I would have that as like kind of my spending money. And then even sometimes where like it was a lot, it wasn't like it was like my base salary was for a lot when I'd worked for like a lot of hours. I basically tried to keep myself like under a budget of kind of like I'd say like $400 for the month. $400 to $500 for the month. And basically the rest of my paycheck I just saved. And I think at the time like it was one just so that I could have a little bit of like buffer as like a balance as just something to rely on as savings. Like I think at the time I wasn't like completely sure that I was going to just take off and travel. So like there was definitely also an element of just potentially saving for university or just saving for later on in life if I needed it. But like the more I looked into volunteering, and then the more like I threw myself into work, because at the time like my daily routine was Monday to Thursday I was going to the gym, studying when I go back from home, and then trying to enjoy my time with my friends. Friday was working 8-hour shift, and then I'd go to a party if it was happening afterwards. But with that in the background, that like I would do a 12-hour shift on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh
So
wow.
like it was a lot, but I think like it was the only way. It was like my coping mechanism. It was the only way that I could like live and survive, I
Yeah.
guess. So
Yeah.
I
No, I think like I mean, you said that like, losing your stepdad was a turning point in your life, and I think that, losing someone maybe changes how you perceive like time and taking risks right now. And so I guess can you walk us through that? Because I know you were busy with work and going to the gym, but like, how did that change like maybe your perceptions of saving versus spending? Because I know usually sometimes after people go
yeah,
through traumatic event, they maybe spend more or they save more. Like yeah.
I think so. The biggest thing that like the biggest perspective shift that I had was like I saw someone that's perfectly healthy to like not here in like less than 2 months.
Wow.
So that very much like to me like maybe realize like life is like really short. Like go and experience it when you can and when you are young, healthy, and fit. That was kind of the biggest thing. I think also as well. Like I asked myself like what my stepdad would tell me to do if he was still here, and it's kind of like he was very like successful academically. Went to a very good university as well. And when he was my age, he also went through a difficult thing. He was on track to apply for Oxford and kind of messed up his application through going for a difficult family time as well. So like he was like very much like wanted me to. I was on track to also kind of apply to Oxford as well. But I think just it wasn't. It was never really for me. Like I had academic capability to push myself to try to apply for sure. But I just don't think that like it is what actually like aligned with who I am as a person and my kind of personality. And I think definitely like losing him as well, like kind of pushed me away from that as well further because I was kind of just like I don't want anything to do with kind of like academic things.
Yeah.
I
I
just want
mean,
to kind of just be a kid for a bit.
that is very relatable. I mean, like I know I'm a legal adult now in the US, but I also just want to be a kid forever. I was actually thinking about it this morning. But I think a lot of our listeners can probably relate to, all that pressure to be something that maybe is not so for you.
I've been to 32 countries at the moment.
That's a
The
lot.
goal is to hopefully try to go to every country before I'm 26, which would make me the youngest male to go to every country. Can't be the youngest
By
on
age
earth
26.
by age 26. The youngest girl I think is currently 21, which would give me 2 years
Oh
to
my gosh,
go to
wait, so
100.
I've already lost.
This would give me
No,
160 countries in the next like 2 years, which I think is just going to be an impossible task to do. But 26, I think definitely seems a lot more achievable.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I used to have this goal of like chasing countries too. So for context for our viewers, I also am a solo backpacker. I've been to 73 countries, also Worldpackers volunteer as well. But like for a long time I was like, yeah, I want to go to every country in the world. But then I also think like I don't know if this has happened to you because you but like, I feel like the more I travel, the more I realize I don't think I actually need to go to every country in the world, and not in a controversial way. It's just that like a lot are very similar. Like, one example I can think of, I don't know, I feel like a lot of, like, island nations, it's like, if you've been to, like,
Mm,
half of them, it's like, oh, like, they used to,
yeah,
all different histories, which is all super interesting, but I also think, like, you know yeah, I mean, I think definitely is value in going to every country in the world, but also travel burnout and travel fatigue is real, and, like,
for sure.
the higher your number becomes, the more you're like, "I'm
Yeah,
exhausted."
for sure, for sure. Like if you ask me more on a deeper level, like where my head's at is like it is definitely something a goal like is that I would love to potentially work towards, but definitely spending the last month in Bali after just doing a month in China, where it's kind of moving around every few days. In Bali, I just stayed in one place. Like yeah, I think definitely you need that balance of like if you're going to travel like quite heavily, you need also a period of rest after that to kind of to compensate for moving about
Yeah, for sure.
constantly.
Because people don't really talk about that. Everyone's like, "Yeah, like, go, go, go. I go to a new country every week." And it's like, for our listeners and viewers out there, it's like, I guess we're here to tell you that that's probably not super feasible long term. Because
Exactly, and
yeah,
it's not even that as well. Like trying to go to every country, I feel like there are definitely some countries that like I would be going to say that I've been there, opposed to like actually having like a genuine curiosity to
for
go
real.
there. Like obviously there are a lot of countries, like the majority of countries that like I could think of the top of my head, like I do have a genuine curiosity to go there. Like I would love to try and do over the summer or just pre-summer in terms of like springtime to try and do all the stans, which means kind of doing Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, even trying to do
I spent this
Pakistan and
entire
Afghanistan.
past summer in Central Asia. I loved it. You'll love it.
Well, there you go. There you go. I'd love to. I'd really, really love to do that. At least currently, the plan is hosting a group trip in Sri Lanka in about 3 weeks, and then from there, I'm going to head my way into India, Nepal, Bangladesh, hopefully Bhutan. Bhutan's a bit crazy in terms of like the visa process, but
Yeah.
From there, I'd love to then fly into Afghanistan, go across to Pakistan, and then up to Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, all of the stans. So
What were you saying about taking rest, about taking time, staying in one place?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I feel like after that, like, I'm probably gonna have to make my way home and then probably spend like 2 weeks with friends in London, to just be able to just take
Only
a breath,
2
take
weeks?
a minute. Yeah, like I want to be able to kind of see friends, but like, there is definitely an overarching goal, because I know I've got another friend that's like, oh, bro, let's go to Colombia in August. I'm like, yeah, let's run it, bro. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's like I always say, I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to go anywhere. But then as soon as someone offers a trip, it's like I can't say no.
Exactly.
So
But
kind of
like,
on that
yeah,
note of being a young traveler. So Tristan, you're 19. Many people your age dream of traveling but feel like it's financially impossible. Can you just share a little bit more about like how do you plan? And now that you're traveling long term, for the foreseeable future, like how do you financially make this happen?
So with volunteering, you can pretty much close to spend like nothing a day. Like, there's been times where, especially when I was in Sweden, I think for the entire 3 weeks that I was in, well, 2.5 weeks that I was in Sweden, I didn't spend a single penny. Like, I spent $0 for 3 weeks every day.
Sweden is expensive too, so that's great.
Exactly, and the main thing because of that is because my transport, food, and accommodation was all covered by this Worldpackers experience that I did doing some social media work for a glamping resort in Falsterbo, Sweden, which is like the coast of Sweden. So the way I'd like to plan it is very much look on Worldpackers, look at kind of very like accessible places. Like, from London to Sweden is a very cheap flight, so you can go there for kind of like, I think my return flight was maybe €25. Like,
Wow.
it's really not
I'm
that
jealous
expensive
of
to
all
go.
you Europeans.
Exactly, but like even so, like, even if you're in the States, like, you can like, I'm pretty sure there's quite a few volunteering experiences in the States themselves, and you can kind of like go state to state, and like, I'm not sure like how you travel around the States in terms of like, I've heard
You
like
need
the
a
public
car. You
transport
have to
isn't great,
drive.
but yeah, like, if you have a car and if you don't have a car, like, is there a cross state train that you could get?
In the Northeast where I'm currently living, yes, but in aside from that, it's there's not really public. I'll say this: the U.S. is not known for its public transportation. It's also a very huge
Yeah,
country. So generally, if you're planning to travel in the U.S., the best way is to rent a car. I'll say Americans are very friendly;
yeah,
they'll help you out, or you can hitchhike. But
yeah.
safety is
There you go.
another thing to think about. So yeah,
Exactly, but if you're
maybe
on a really tight
start in
budget.
Europe.
Yeah, exactly. If you're on a very tight budget, you can hitchhike. Even if if you're, let's say, in Europe, like, a train to go into kind of mainland Europe is not too expensive. And then once you get there, you have pretty much the entire mainland Europe. You can go north, south, west, east, and it should be pretty easily accessible and relatively cheap. So definitely, how I plan it is kind of looking on Worldpackers, like, as in the app itself, and seeing kind of what each program would entail. Me personally, obviously, doing content, like, the majority of ones I do apply for are like social media positions, but that doesn't have to be the case. If you don't want to do content, you can teach English. Also, more Southeast Asia, like things like total conservation, animal rescue, like building houses, helping kind of with construction. So many different kind of programs that you can apply to and opportunities you can do. The main thing that I would just look for is like the food would be covered in terms of your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes it's maybe some meals, or probably maybe breakfast and lunch, and not including dinner. Or like sometimes even for kind of more the in-demand volunteering experiences, like, you do need to pay like a certain amount per day, maybe like it's like €5 per day to cover your expenses in terms of meals and stuff like that. But like the majority of Worldpackers experiences that you do look for can be like pretty beneficial in terms of you're looking for accommodation, 3 meals a day. That will essentially mean you pay nothing, and even transportation. I got like driven from the station in Malmo down to Falsterbo and back again. So whenever I wanted to pop over to Denmark, which is from Falsterbo, is like an hour on the train at most, like half an hour on the train to get into Copenhagen from Malmo. Like I got dropped off at the station. They were really friendly. So like it's just about kind of being a little bit smart in terms of how you do your planning, looking at kind of where's accessible for you, and then where's going to be which like program would mean that you would like get the most benefit for you, but also get like feel like it resonates with what you want, what impact you want to have as well.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I'm sure there are probably some challenges with that as well. Like it's not all smooth sailing. So
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
like in order to make your travels a reality, what were some things that maybe you had to sacrifice or were difficult, and how would you recommend that a young aspiring traveler can deal with that?
So with volunteering, the one thing you're gonna have to sacrifice is like thing of like traveling with other people. Like essentially, if you're volunteering at a hostel in specific, you like almost have to get used to the idea of like seeing people like a revolver door. Like some new people will come to the hostel, you get to know them for a few days, they leave, new person comes in.
Yeah, so definitely make sure you know your limits and you know yourself. I think that's really great advice because when I was also starting out, like searching for volunteer positions, there would be a country that I really wanted to go to, but maybe some of the options were like farming and agriculture, and I'm like, okay, I'm not so experienced with that. And I think like ultimately Tristan is right in that like if you don't think you would enjoy that role or be good at it, then there's other ways to go to that country.
But also as well, like if you want to throw yourself in the deep end, by all means
Yes.
do so. Just like when you get there, just like you have to be very open minded to be like, oh, like I've chosen to be here, opposed to like, oh, like they've made it so that I'm
That's
not
true.
happy to
Nobody
be here.
forced you to visit in Cyprus. Like you
Exactly,
chose
for
to do
sure,
that.
for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure.
um, and so I just want to close this episode and just ask, what's next for you? Like, do you have a content creation goal you're chasing, personal goal? I know you mentioned your epic trip through South Asia and Central Asia, but what's something you're hoping to, I guess, accomplish before you go back home to London?
So in terms of when I go back to London, like it will be a transitionary period. Like I'm not gonna like settle down there. Like I'm just gonna go to see friends and then leave. So basically, what I want to achieve before then is currently we're on track. I'm paying one of my friends back home to edit for me at the moment. He is currently just posting trial reels, which for those of you that don't know what they are essentially videos that only go to your non-followers or people that don't follow you. So it's a good way to essentially like scientifically test and like play around with what works and what doesn't on social media. So he's currently editing that. We're currently growing by around like 50 to 60 followers per day. So on track to hopefully hit 10K for the end of the year. So by the time I go back to London in like July, maybe August of next year, the goal would be to double that, to be at 20. That's from content. In terms of personal, I've also kind of accepted a job working for a creator, being her account manager. So I'm going to be dedicating a lot more time to that. And that's kind of like helping creators learn how to navigate kind of UGC work and brando work and stuff like that, and kind of position themselves to understand more about kind of marketing and sales so they can actually start working with brands. So I'm doing that as well, and that's more on the personal side. So just gonna be growing the Instagram, and through my last month in Bali and now in Lombok here, but I've just been meeting loads of cool like people with the creative space and entrepreneur space. So connecting with them, and hopefully just saying yes to every travel opportunity and traveling with more creators for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's amazing. It sounds like you're not going to get that much rest, but I hope you get all of the
Yeah,
goals that you're trying to achieve.
for sure.
Um, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. What I love about Tristan's story is how it feels so real. Not everything is about having it all figured out. Sometimes you can just, be intentional and recognize what you want or maybe what you don't want, which sometimes is more important. Yeah, I think Tristan shows that travel can be one of the most powerful tools for healing discovery. So thank you everyone for tuning into Podpackers, a Worldpackers original. If Tristan inspired you, and he definitely inspired me, I'm going to be looking at some trips after this. Share this episode with a friend and make sure to follow us on Spotify and social media. Yeah, see you all next time. Thanks, Tristan.
Bye.